And joining us now on Radio Exposed is David, Eric, Brian, Jeff, and Bob from Sudden Dark. Welcome to the show, boys.
Thanks.
How's it going?
Hello.
Hello.
All right. Now, I've been a Sudden Dark fan from almost the beginning. I want to say it's been at least, what, close to a decade now? Now, take us back.
Yeah.
How did Sudden Dark get their start?
Wow. Well, it actually started back in like 96, 97. All of us were in high school at that time, but initially it was just myself, Bob, Eric, and Brian, and we had one of our friends on the drums for a little bit, and we actually...
I was not an original member.
Oh, you were not an original member, this is true. But anyway, so it was just a three-piece at the time. I think Jeff came in to play guitars a little bit later, and I don't know. It was just something we'd done after school. You know, that's how it started pretty much. We'd go over to Eric's house and play for a little while, and then his dad actually said, you know, why don't you guys play some shows? So we started doing that, and you know, after a little while, we brought Brian on, and he took the place of the previous drummer, and yeah, we've been together ever since. You know, we hit rough patches and stuff, but you know, what band does it really?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, and it's been the same core four instruments pretty much since then. So probably somewhere around '98, and then Dave came on in 2000. I believe he was the third or fourth singer that we had, and yeah, I mean, he's been a staple since. So.
Yep.
All right, so back around that time, because you know, I've known David now since '97. We were actually coworkers at Target, so like, you know, it was around that time where I'm like, oh, boy, he's got a band. All right, I have a friend that has a band. So it was around that time you guys had the 5-track CD, and it's still some songs that I try to listen. I was telling David off the air that for some reason Windows 7 doesn't read my old Sudden Dark CD. Anyone else have problems with that? Like, have you been approached by any fans like, you know, I've been listening to, you know, these songs for years and I can't hear them anymore? You guys know you have protected content?
Wow. That's news. That's what anyway.
I used to have problems playing at my car.
Oh yeah, the car thing. Did you have the skipping issue?
No, like it wouldn't read the CD for some reason.
Yeah.
Huh.
See, mine.
Old technology.
That's the first EP you were talking about, right? The very, very first one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was, it was done in a friend of ours. We did it in his basement, but, you know.
I think we just burned all those, didn't we? Yeah, those weren't
I'm
actually
pretty sure.
duplicated. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all, burned for the most part. We just had the little paper sleeves. We had some makeshift CD artwork that we put on there with, like a label press and all this stuff. It was pretty, low budget, but the one after that plays pretty well though. I have to say.
All right, so that process started is about 2000, and you know, obviously now it's 2012. We'll listen to the quality of what we have coming up later with Moonrise, but what have you guys learned over these many years when it comes to the recording process? Like with the new technologies coming out, where you can pretty much do this in your own apartment if you really wanted to. What have you guys learned from that first time you threw stuff onto a piece of metal disc thing that spins real fast till now?
I'd say the number one thing we learned is don't do 24-hour recording sessions. Because when we recorded our last one, we pulled 2 24-hour recording sessions, and by the time we got to about 5 in the morning, Dave was sick from staying up for hours, and the rest of us were like delusional, so that was pretty
Yeah, and we
fun.
ended up we redid the bass tracks on a few of the songs and the vocals anyway, so it really didn't end up being worth it in the long run.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go back to the beginning here. Now, I've had a lot of bands on this show, and one of the more notable ones who said that their name was like totally way different than what you would think, and I was shocked when it happened when Alistair was on the show, and they said their original name was Fall Out Boy, and they were friends back then, so it was kind of weird how that worked. Sudden Dark, the name Sudden Dark when it came out, was that like the first one, or were there like other names that were kind of like, we were this for a while, and then we changed our name to this, and then blah, we're Sudden Dark. How did Sudden Dark happen?
I think that was maybe the fourth.
Yeah, the first one, which we went by for a while, was Blindsided, and that was before Dave. Before that, I don't even know. But then once Dave joined the band, we decided to change our name, because we were coming up with all new music, and that was probably 2000 or so, and that's when we changed to Sudden Dark, which actually was, the person that came up with it was one of our friends who had, came down to watch us practice, and I don't know what happened. The lights went off, the power went off or something, and he's like, "Oh, Sudden Dark," and we just kind of at each other, and we're like, "Yeah." So that was actually how the name Sudden Dark came to be.
Now, of all the stuff, like, because just in emails with David, like he'll end up with some weird phrase. I remember "Please Recycle" was there for a long time. How close was your guys' name to being "Please Recycle"?
I don't think that was ever going to happen.
Some of us pushed for it for a while, but, we couldn't get it past it. It's democracy, so, you know how democracies work. But yeah, at the end, actually, there was an acronym for a while we were using, which was a statement of imagery. We used that, pretty much from, 2002 till probably about 2006 or so. And, the idea behind that, actually Dave came up with that, and I thought it was kind of nice because it sort of added balance to the name, and maybe, because in a way, I guess you could say the name is sort of misleading, but, it's a name, like who would have thought Korn sounded cool? Not saying we're on the level of Korn, but I'm just saying, like, what is a name really? It's more of, just a way for you to be identified more than anything. And I guess, a lot of that, it's important, but, it's all kind of relative, I guess, a name is whatever you make it, kind of thing. But yeah.
All right. So going to Sudden Dark and actual imagery, where eyes actually see what the Sudden Dark thing is, you guys had a lot of stickers that you guys printed out. Where's the weirdest place that you saw one of your stickers?
Wow.
Because I can think of like 5 right now that were like, wow, why is there a Sudden Dark sticker there?
It's a drive on the toll booth all the time.
Yeah, the drive-through at Wendy's over on Gary Avenue. I saw one on a stop sign before. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, there were multiple toll booths that we I saw them on.
I remember the first time I saw it was the TCF Bank in Wooddale. The drive-through one. It was brand new. They had one of those things that prevent cars from actually driving into the cash machine, like right by the actual what's the thing that gives you money?
ATM.
Yeah, the ATM. Yeah. I forgot his technical name. It was like right on the concrete post. I'm like, oh, Sudden Dark. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, there's some places I've seen, like trash cans. I've seen them on trash cans. I've even seen them like an hour north in Woodstock. I saw one, which kind of surprised me a little bit, but yeah, I've seen that on trash cans, stop signs, drive-through windows. You name it. There's been a lot of places.
Now, when it comes to the influences of the band, what are some of the outside influences? It could be anything from other bands or just pretty much anything, any personal relationships, crap like that. What's some of the stuff that shaped your sound, either as individuals or as the band themselves?
Well, I mean, we've drawn a lot of comparisons to Tool in the past, and we're all, pretty much all of us, we're all Tool fans, so you can say we've drawn from Tool, A Perfect Circle. Feel free to chime in, anybody, if you got some.
I think the early stuff was definitely a Metallica influence, and then Pink Floyd. So some of that long epic, 8-minute, 9-minute song stuff comes from Metallica and Pink Floyd.
Yeah. I would say a lot of the techniques of the guitars, playing together but playing different things was an influence of like Korn, because they always seem to be playing different parts on the guitar. So, when we started out, you'd start to, me and Jeff would play the same things, but, now we rarely ever play the same thing. I mean, hardly ever in a song.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I guess you could say we draw off each other a lot too. Like, all of our stuff is all, it starts out as an improv, and we just kind of like feed off of each other and sort of, create, this kind of, in some regards, like an elaborate soundscape, and we just kind of start putting other things on top of it. And, that's, for me, that's how I get going, I feed off of them, they feed off of me, and really that's, we kind of inspire each other in that sense, I consider myself pretty lucky to be associated with these guys as musicians, and I think that's probably the best place, the best influence you can have is when your bandmates always got your back, and you guys can feed off of each other and kind of create this thing, that's kind of bigger than everybody, So I attribute that a lot to my bandmates.
Now, you guys mentioned, like all bands have them, you guys have your rough patches. For a while, you guys went on a hiatus. What is some of the stuff you learned about the band, yourselves? Maybe even some side projects you did where like, hey, you know what? When we weren't doing this, I learned, I was involved with this project. Is there anything we can do with what we're doing now? Let's move forward with some of these new ideas. Anything like that comes to mind?
I think the biggest thing that we learned, there was some years where Dave was in and out of the band, is, we're all older now, and now we're, everything is water under the bridge, and it's just 5 friends trying to make good music, So a lot of the arguments that we used to get into, we don't get into as much anymore. It's just kind of an older, wiser way to look at the band,
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
At any point, did you guys think it wasn't going to happen again?
Sure.
Yeah, probably a year or two ago.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But
yeah, it's been really exciting, kind of, bringing it back because, a year or two ago, I was at a point personally where, we were just kind of going through the motions. I really wasn't that interested in the band, to tell you the truth. And, for Dave coming around again and then, us booking the show and kind of getting back in the swing, it's really kind of, resurrected my passion for music and this band in general. And, I think it's something that's been missing in all of our lives, so I'm really happy to see, where we've come and, definitely want to keep pushing forward with it,
Absolutely. I mean, as soon as, we had a little flaw out there, sort of, not too far back, a few years ago, and, it did look pretty bleak, but, part of me was just like, well, I can't just like abandon anybody, I kind of felt like, there's parts of me that wanted to kind of move on and things like that, but, music for everybody, I think, is very therapeutic. just listening to it, playing it, whatever. And so I kind of held out hope and thinking that something would come back around for us, and it did. And when I learned that Dave was getting back in the band, I was like Beth, I was stoked. I was fearing for a while we wouldn't come back, but yeah, absolutely we're coming back, and y'all better be ready.
All right, so now you guys are back. You guys got a show coming up, November 10th at the Elbow Room, a place that I've seen you guys play at. It's an awesome venue, and you guys definitely rocked it. Now, what are we expected to see? Are we going to bring up some of the old stuff? Okay, by the way, I live next to an active train line. Just to let you know that,
Damn, son.
full disclosure, that just happened. So what are we expected to see at this show? Is it a blend of old stuff and new stuff, kind of like a welcome back to our fans, or are you guys previewing like stuff that's upcoming?
We're gonna do a blending of material from the past, material that a lot of people didn't hear that they're gonna think, "Wow, I've never heard this before. This is new." And definitely we have a few new songs that we're gonna debut as well. So I think for the most part, at least from our perspective, we have a few songs from the past, then the middle of our career, and now the newest stuff. But for most of the fans, it'll probably be all pretty new. It's more of like a 60-40 blending of new material versus old material. But
yeah, maybe.
We've worked on it. 70?
Well, we're going to hit all the classics,
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm. That is the best of Sudden Dark CD going to be available in the merch counter?
Of course, bro.
Well, we'll definitely have some of our new EP out there for purchase. We still have some T-shirts, and I think we have a couple posters, if I'm not mistaken. So there will be music to check out there. A lot of the stuff we're going to be playing that night is on that CD. So yeah, it's going to be the things that people are familiar with. Moonrise, particularly, that seems to be a favorite for most people, for myself included. I like that one a lot. Transcend.
Don't give it all away, Bob.
Well,
people, for the show.
Yeah. So yeah. It's going to be a nice mix. I think I definitely like the way the set feels. So we always kind of make it an objective to kind of take people on a sort of journey or a roller coaster, if you will, kind of feel those ebbs and flows as we play. So I think the set that we have for that night is going to provide that.
All right. Now, you guys have played in a couple places. You guys have previously played in the Elbow Room, which I mentioned. I've seen you at a couple other places. What are some of your favorite venues that you've ever played at? And part two of this question, are there any venues out there? Obviously, every band is like, I want to play Madison Square Garden or some crap like that. But is there any place you're like, you know what? I saw a band there, and I'm like, I picture us on that stage. So, what are your favorite venues, and any place that you guys really feel like you guys would play pretty well?
Well, I think the second one is pretty much a gimme for all of us. We've been talking a lot lately about the House of Blues. I mean, we've all seen shows there, and it's just the environment just is incredible. You have that big room with the big stage and all that stuff, and then on top of that, all the people that have played there before you. So it's kind of like, sort of a dream of ours. But as far as like venues that I like the most, I'd have to say Elbow Room is like my number one. I feel like we've had so many good times there. We've always had people come out and enjoy the shows and having some drinks and things like that, and it's just one of my favorite places. And then after that, I'd have to say the Metro, just because of the history.
Yeah, I'd say Metro probably tops this. Just a good venue all around, solid sound, a lot of bands that have played there,
Mm-hmm.
The Metro was good because it kind of provided that, kind of rock all-star environment where you have your backstage area with all the bands and you're kind of back there drinking with everyone, and the sound was just awesome, I remember. And I'd also have to say Subterranean. We played there once or twice, and that was a really cool venue to play at. So I'd have to say those are my top couple.
Yeah, I was going to say Subterranean too.
Subterranean. The only thing I don't like about Subterranean is the staircase that goes down. Or up, actually. Because I always made fun of it the couple times I've been there. I'm like, Subterranean, we got to go up this thing?
I know, right?
Yeah, actually,
Kind
one of the best shows I've ever been to at Subterranean was MC Chris, Whole Wheat Bread, and I Fight Dragons. I Fight Dragons was actually on the show too. And now they're about to pop, I guess. They just signed with Atlantic, or they signed with Atlantic Records earlier, but like, yeah, that was a fun show. Metro, God, all the people that played there, but yeah, I mean, there's some awesome venues you guys just mentioned.
Yeah. And Subterranean, I do like that one too. There's something about a balcony, people like standing over you is like, I don't know, it's just kind of cool, you get, and especially like when you're part of the audience and you're watching somebody from up there, it's just, I don't know, it's just got this cool vibe about it. I saw Dead Letter Circus there with, I think everybody was there. We all went. It was a pretty impressive show. I spent most of the time on the balcony, and it's cool. It's almost like I was more towards the side of the stage because, when you go up the stairs, it's kind of like the balcony's sort of like a horseshoe shape, so you can see the band really well. Mm-hmm. But if you stand like off to the side a little bit, you can almost reach out and touch the guys. It's kind of neat. Okay.
Now, of all the shows you guys have played, who are some of the people you've played with? Obviously, you guys have a decent relationship, at least as far as I know, with Mindsight. But what are some of the other bands where you're like, I really enjoy playing with these guys?
Wow. I want to bring up one of the earliest shows we played, mainly because growing up in Chicago, I listened to a lot of hip-hop music. I had a lot of exposure to hip-hop, and there's a rapper, Common, which used to go by the name of Common Sense, and when Jeff was going to Columbia College, we ended up getting on this Street Beats festival, and Common, he ended up, I guess he went to Columbia for a semester or a year, was actually the headliner, so we ended up getting on this bill, not really knowing that he was performing the show, and then as we got details, I was like, I was freaking out myself personally because I was such a big fan of his, and because he's from Chicago, and he's a great musician, rapper. So for me, that was a super huge thrill. Besides that, locally, favorite bands, I really like 7 Day Sonnet. I was a big fan of Mindsight when they were doing their thing. I'm a big fan of Amrita, which features some of the guys of Mindsight. So those are just a few for me.
Duna Hill was another one I liked a lot. Shades of Fiction, that was probably one of my favorite Chicago local bands. Who else?
I'm going to throw out Digital Kill. The Digital Kill from way back.
Holy cow.
I don't know if you guys are still or not, but that was some cool stuff, man. Yeah.
That stuff is pretty far out.
Janice. Yeah, Janice is also a good band we played with and we dig.
Now, do you guys know who's playing with you at the Elbow Room?
The Champagne Saints is the band that is having a CD release on which they performed before us. There's a couple other bands, but I don't want to misquote their names, so.
All right. So coming into the show, like a picture was posted earlier, a couple days ago, I want to say, and I'm like, oh yeah, I got to ask about that. Any new masks being brought out onto the stage at this time?
Just on older faces, you can see those masks, and that's about it. We were talking about. Bob and I were talking about it would be cool to take the old mask and just put it on amp in the background for people who remember the early days when I used to pull out the mask for the first song as an attention getter. But too many people like come up to me and be like, you gotta wear that mask the whole show, it's so cool. And I would be like, it's too gimmicky, you know. I love Slipknot, but I don't want to be Slipknot.
Now, another question I have, because I've been to a lot of shows, and I remember right in front, you guys are playing right here, and then right in front of the stage, there was always the same guy. Do you know if he's going to be at this show?
He will be there, bro. He will be there.
Rocky. Yeah.
Okay, so
his name's Rocky.
Rocky
Azola, represent.
All right. Big props to Rocky. We will see Rocky at the show.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks for joining us on Radio Exposed. You know, we will be able to see you this Saturday at the Elbow Room, 2871 North Lincoln in Lakeview. I love the venue. It's going to be a great time. Thanks for joining us, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
And here is Sudden Dark with Moonrise on Radio Exposed.